Tonight on Tabletop Commander, Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. Hi everyone, and welcome to another fantastic EDH deck tech. Tonight I have a deck that I've been seeing a lot of on the internet lately, and I initially looked at the commander and I was like, what the hell kind of crap is this, right? And then I got to looking into it and decided it would be worth building, and I put it together, and it is much better than I expected. So, shows what I know, right? This is basically just a run-of-the-mill counter deck, except instead of putting +1 counters on it like you would with the ever-annoying proliferate decks, this is a -1 counter deck, and yet there is still some proliferate in it, just no Atraxa. It's Atraxa that's annoying, not really the proliferate so much. So, this is kind of the anti-Atraxa deck. Basically, I seek to put -1 counters on stuff and generate snake tokens, make them really big, swarm my opponent, and that's pretty much the gist of the deck. It's just a token deck plus a -1 counter deck. So, let's get right into it. Of course, I play a Sensei's Divining Top. This is my proxy top. Golgari Signet for some mana. Of course, a Soul Ring, again for mana. Skull Clamp, all those 1/1 tokens, gets us some fast cards. Ashnod's Altar, great sack outlet, as well as some good fast mana. Cauldron of Souls, for keeping my non-token creatures alive. Well, sort of alive, I guess. Smokestack, not really one I've seen in the deck a lot, but it's great because you have all the tokens, and you can afford to sack more than your opponents can usually. So I went ahead and included this, and in the one game I played that I actually got it out, it did kind of work out well in my favor. So glad I put it. Contagion Engine for -1 counters as well as double proliferate. Cultivate for some mana fetching, as well as Far Wanderings, Kodama's Reach, and Traverse the Ulvenwald. Yeah, there we go. Ulvenwald. I hope I said it right this time. You might be thinking this is kind of a lot of land fetch, and you'd probably be right. It would be okay to take one out in favor of some more tutors. I tried to go kind of cheap on this deck, so because there's a lot of really expensive options for this deck, and I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of money thinking it was going to be crap, but then it wasn't crap, and well, you know how that is. Overwhelming Stampede, this is a win condition to get a bunch of tokens out and do some stampeding. Ruinous Path for some removal. Black Sun Zenith for both removal and the -1 counter effect. You get a lot of Hapatra tokens out of this thing, I can tell you. Green Sun Zenith for some library fetching and creature in a playing, that sort of thing. My Demonic Tutor with Skeletor on it. Shamanic, whatever. Shamanic Revelation for some draws. I think the entire entertainment value of this video is going to be me mispronouncing shit. Beast Within for some removal. Croissant Grip for some artifact enchantment hate. Sylvan Library Proxy, because Sylvan Library is amazing in green as always. Fecundity. Fecundity. Yep, there we go. Another one I can't really... I hope I'm saying it right. This one is a draw engine for when creatures die. It can also kind of help your opponents out, so this is a bit of a loose cannon, but I like to play it and get lots of draws off it. Black Market. This is a huge help. Definitely a all-star in this deck. Cryptolith Rite for some great mana. Dictate of Erebos as well as Grave Pact for when my stuff dies, more of their stuff dies. Believe it or not, I bought this particular Grave Pact as damaged. I don't really see any actual damage. I think there might be a slight crease in the corner somewhere, but I really don't see it, so go me. Parallel Lives for duplicating some tokens. Beastmaster Ascension, this is another win condition. It's not hard to swing out with 7 snakes at a time and get this thing kicked off in one go. Blowfly Infestation for making sure those -1 counters get out and stay out. Flourishing Defenses for more tokens. Not the nice Death Touch snakes that you get from Hapatra herself, but some more for the Swarm is always welcome. Nest of Scarabs, again, this is from the new set Amonkhet, and is also more tokens. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, this is another one I really haven't seen too many other people playing, but it's nice to be able to have the tokens. Draw is always good, and the +1 counters are for counteracting the -1 counters you inevitably end up putting on your own creatures. Garruk Wildspeaker, because I'm playing green, and I always play Garruk in green. Obnixilis for some draw and some removal. Varaska for some removal. Channel Initiate for some mana, as well as putting -1 counters on stuff. I actually like to put this on some of my other creatures and not use them as a late game, and use them not as a mana dork, but rather putting -1 creatures on some of my other stuff that actually gets a benefit from having -1 counters on them. Solemn Simulacrum, because EDH. Sakura Tribe Elder, again, more mana fixing. This deck kind of has too much, I think. Probably something I could take out when I get some more cards or better ideas or whatever. A little bit Grave Hate from Scavenging Ooze. Eternal Witness, because green. Genesis for getting stuff back. Ulvenwald Tracker for some removal. Vahati Ildal. This guy's great. The very first time I played this deck, I got this guy out, and he is just a pain in the ass to deal with. Creekwood Liege. More tokens and make your stuff bigger. This guy is another great card in this deck. Sashiro the Anointed. Tons of draw and making your sneaks big. Crater Hoof, another win condition. Sadistic Hypnotist. Sack those tokens and make your opponents discard. Drana, Liberator of Malakir, for counteracting those -1 counters on your creatures. Same thing for Forgotten Ancient. And Mazrik. I don't really play a lot of sacks in this deck. I mean, you probably only saw I only play like 3 or 4 sack outlets. I guess this is something I could theoretically remove, but it's in here for now. Woodfall Primus for some sweet removal. Some of that Proliferate I promised earlier. Blood Artist, always a good thing in a deck you expect to lose a lot of creatures in. Midnight Banshee for putting -1 counters on your opponent's stuff. Dusk Urchins for some draws. Soul Snuffers, not only for snuffing souls, but for putting -1 counters on stuff. Carnifex, -1 counters on stuff. Also, this is one of those things I mentioned earlier that I like to put my own -1 counters on, because then you could use his ability. Same thing for Wickerbower Elder. Again, he is enchantment and artifact hate, but he has to have -1 counters on him to use it. Decimator Beetle for moving those counters around. Necro Skitterer for grabbing your opponent's stuff. Harbinger of Night, an oldie but goalie, putting -1 counters on stuff. Quill Spike for taking that -1 counters off and making a big nasty. Corrosive Mentor for some Wither for her -1 counters. And of course, Malira Silvok Outcast for getting -1 counters off your shit and making sure they stay off. And that's our deck for today. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that great stuff, and have a great day.